$1 billion acquisition of U.S. Steel by a Japanese company may have a new lease on life after the Biden administration extended a deadline for the steel maker to abandon plans. Now, the new deadline set for mid-June is viewed by U.S. Steel and investors as an opportunity to complete the deal, even though Biden blocked it this month. For years, the steel maker, which has 2 facilities on the Iron Range, has warned it needs an investor. However, President Biden blocked the deal, citing a potential threat to national security. Nippon Steel and U.S. Steel filed a federal lawsuit insisting the deal does not pose a threat. Legal experts say giving both parties an extra 6 months is a sign there are people in the Biden administration that would like a second look at this deal. But President-elect Trump, who is expected to take office next week, said he is also against it. Minnesota's legislature